to our pre-recorded show for the Game Changing Work channel with Roxana and myself, Veronica. And our topic today, so we're not live, so all of you are watching technically the replay because it's pre-recorded. So any comments that you have, we will be checking. So don't forget. And we are going to be talking about the rise of people-powered organizations today. I thought this would be a great topic. What do you think, Roxana?
It is. I love this topic. What do you mean? We always talk about that, actually. We talk about how it's all about the people. You want to be successful. It's all about the people because the people are going to be the ones who do the work. And it all depends on how they do that work. So, yeah, let's get to it.
And we have about 4 things that we're going to cover really quick and just kind of touching on it, which is workplace, physical workplace. That's a really hot topic when it comes to people. And believe it or not, that's kind of in that people-powered organization conversation. Then we have purpose and passion. That is also something, everything that fits underneath that. That's a huge thing today, right? And well-being. Another big one.
Yes.
And then lastly, people analytics, because as we move towards people powered, analytics becomes extremely important. So not only is the organizations going to learn about their people, but the people actually learn about themselves as individuals. So let's jump into the first one, the physical workplace.
Yeah.
Now that's a big one. I have been looking at the job boards, trying to see what was actually happening. And it's been quite interesting because I see a location a lot, and then some of them I have remote, or you have some companies that say we have adopted a full remote or a very flexible world where they are looking outside of their physical local area for talent.
Yeah.
And I just came across a survey, and there's probably a lot of them out there that people can take, that people are trying to gather data of how people feel about going back to the way it was when it comes to physical workplace on that. What are some of the conversations that you probably have had with some people?
So conversations and also stats that I see, because I think related to number 4, analytics, I think we need to get back to what the numbers tell us. And the idea is that there was a study that was done by I forget their name right now, but it was one of these companies that offered workplace, like the physical workspace. And they did a study, and 90% of the respondents in that study said that they want to have a mix of getting back to the office and working virtually. 10% of them said that they prefer working virtually. From those 90%, the majority of them said that they want to have the flexibility to choose when they work virtually as opposed to when they have to go to the office. And there were only, I think, 5% of the 90% who said they want that, who said that they want to go back in the office, in the physical office, for 4 days a week. The rest of them said maybe 2-3 days. So what we're looking at and what we see happening is we can definitely assume that you will have this mix of physical and virtual. It's how companies are going to balance this and how flexible they're going to be. Because if you have people who are actually more productive, who don't have to go to be physically present in the office, are you going to offer this flexibility to them to work remotely maybe 95% of their time and only come to the office for big meetings or events or something like that? and how you're gonna be able to offer this, because what we've seen is that people are actually productive. Some of them are actually more productive when they work from home as compared to having to commute back and forth and so on. So they're more productive working from home, and some people are less productive working from home, especially parents. This is a category that if you look at them, they want to go to the office for those big projects that they really have to focus on, and at home they don't have that that capability, that capacity to focus too much, because
Yeah, and I
there's too much
wonder
going on.
if the data's skewed also when it comes to that conversation, because
Yeah.
if you are capturing these analytics and the kids are not in school, then you're already having skewed data because it's not accurate. They're actually basing their opinion of what's actually happening to them at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And another thing is time. So we talk about going to physical work, but what time of day? So a lot of people, if everyone is going to that 9 to 5 schedule and you are commuting or, working, the traffic's bad. The traffic's heavy. I mean, a lot of people might say, hey, I don't mind going into work, but I would love to go into work at 10 o'clock and do my morning meetings at home, so then I don't have to deal with traffic. So there's a lot of dynamic conversation that needs to happen around that, and plus also talent pool, right? Mm-hmm. So as companies are trying to understand the workers, then there is asking even the company itself is, what kind of culture are you wanting to create? So if you have a culture where you believe in people physically being there, the leaders, right, creating that culture, and then you do get that data and there's a conflict, what do? Because that conflict was always there. It was just hidden, right? And so do you change your approach of how you want to run your culture? Or do you say, no, this is our culture and those people will probably, we know that they might leave. All right. So it's a lot of things that would be happening when it comes to this whole workplace thing. So when we get back to people powered, it's a very interesting thing where it's a little easier said than done until it starts happening. I always believe in that, right? You can always talk about theory, but when it actually happens, it's a whole other story.
Yeah.
Is that if you're a leader and you're trying to create people powered, so people powered is really going to be about getting results. And so when people are happier in the workplace physical aspect, and they know that they have the ability that's going to work for them personally, and this is the hard part because everyone's different, you're actually going to get more productivity. And then in turn, not only you're going to get more productivity, but you might get more innovation, because when they're in a happier state, we know you actually come up with great ideas to your solutions or things that are actually going to help with the market, right? If you're trying to be innovative and strategic about it. So it's going to be interesting what leaders, when we're actually in it, how are they going to adapt and react to it? Are they going to hold steadfast, or are they going to take more of a learning approach, right? Validated learning, because you are going to do a little just-in-time learning, because you don't have a crystal ball. You don't know what's going to happen.
You don't know. And you have talking about talent pool and people powered, like you have such a large talent pool right now. If you look at working virtually, it doesn't really matter where that talent is physically, and you have access to it, and they will be happy to work for you. So there's a win-win. It's a win for the employer to get that talent from anywhere, and that talent to be able to work for whatever company they ever dreamt of working, but that wasn't possible because of the physical space. Now it's possible because of the virtual space.
So gonna put on the game changer hat, being creative about physical space. Now, commercial real estate took a toll.
Yeah.
Because of people not, a lot of companies that are sprouting up saying, hey, if you want to have an office, and say, for example, you have 10 locations that are really prime of talent pool, that you want to get out of, you can actually create these spaces, rent these, and it allows some physical location, but you don't have to have all that money, creating this big building or what might have you. It could be like a shared space, right? Workspace with other companies. So it's really cool what's happening out there today. So companies have options because people are providing options for them. Now, speaking of options, when it comes to purpose and passion, now this is a hot one. You got Simon Sinek. You have even just Dan Peek's intrinsic motivation. We talk about passion a lot with the Game Changer Index. And there's the company itself of what their purpose is and what they're about and their mission, right? What they believe in, those values. And then now you have all these things, people over 2020, lots of time to think. Even though they're not at work, but what it is isolation makes you think about what actually is my purpose. What's actually going to help me have more of a life that's fulfilled, both personally and professionally? And is there really a difference anymore? And a lot of people are questioning that. We question that, right? I just read, a coaching marketing email. And one of the things they talked about was performance coaching. Yeah, I'm going to totally say this. I don't care. And they said, performance coaching is on a high, and wouldn't you want to help your clients with personal and professional performance? And, my instant reaction, and I'm sure you probably are just me saying that, is, why are we continuing to say it that way?
Yeah, I know. Funny. I think
one person. And when we talk about powered organizations, I honestly think that the companies that are moving away from that type of language and conversation are getting it.
Yeah, exactly. It's hard to get it. Yeah.
It's human performance as the individual. So if you're not performing well in your personal life, your marriage, your kids, or everything, how is that not going to transcend to your professional life? And me, when it comes to the benefits of life coaching, that's why I say that. Doesn't mean life coaching has to look like black and white the same way in both worlds. But what I always say is your mental state, which goes into our well-being, right? Part of it transcends no matter where you are. Come on, let's get real, people.
It does. And the other way around, I mean, it's like the personal translates into the professional world, and everything that happens to you professionally, you also bring it in your state of mind, in how you feel back home. And it's not even back home right now for those of you who work from home. So you're already there, and there's people will see, your family will see you when you're upset, when you're angry, when you're frustrated. That you don't even have to say it. They will see it.
And then you go home and let it out. Your professional life, you have an identity. Now, kind of getting back to the subject of passion, what I find quite interesting, and I actually went through this myself, is you wrestle with, I have to make money and doing something you love. Now, that is a slippery slope with people, and a lot of people might be going through this right now, because I personally have had to answer that question. Now, luckily for me, I wasn't something that I was passionate about. I just lost it. And I had to kind of come to terms of what that looks like now as I've evolved as a person and where I'm going. And I was able to say, hey, I could still create passion in what I do. I've just changed my perspective about it.
Yeah.
And so when we talk about passion and purpose, this is a huge opportunity for companies to help individuals rationalize that. Because if they are just saying, I'm going to do this work for money, but everything I do outside of work is where my passion is, and I do all these hobbies, that's still a problem. Because what it means is, I'm not giving you my passion company. I'm going to wait until after work, and I'm going to do all the things I'm passionate about. So you're really not getting the person completely and wholly at work.
You're not getting, and as an individual who does that, it takes a toll on you. I mean, it is really exhausting to have this kind of split identity. And the thing is, you don't recognize yourself. Think about it. How many hours do we work? 8, 10, 12? Like, it really depends on what kind of job you're in. But if you're in that job just for the money and you don't like anything about it, think about it. 8 hours, let's go with 8 hours. 8 hours a day, every day of the week. You get there just because, and you do it just for the money, and you don't recognize yourself. That's not who you are. That's not who you are as a person.
And nobody knows who you are at work. This happens a
Exactly.
lot where they go, I'm not going to talk about my private life at work. It's private.
It is private. It is just that work also, because it takes, think about it, sometimes we work more than we're at home, or we spend more time working than we spend time with our family sometimes, some of the weekdays.
And so bridging into well-being, because this is going to transcend a little bit between the two, is the word family. And I'm going to, and this is, I want to challenge this, because when we start to think about how much time, and time's an asset, and we spend a lot of time at work and the people around, when does it turn into you thinking them like family? So you have really close friends that are not blood relatives, or you know, that I don't even think that really exists today, you know. That would be like, so what, if somebody's adopted, they're not family, you know, or you know, so really family is just that connection with your heart, and you feel safe, there's trust, respect. And we talk about these things in organizations. Why wouldn't they be an extended family?
And they are, and so here's the thing. I hear people say, yeah, they're family until they're not. I mean, there's a boundary. Okay, fine. But it is, think about ourselves. We're social beings. We need connections. We need the to belong to tribes that we resonate with, that we identify with, right? So that is one. Okay, it's not close family, but it's one of the tribes that you have in your life constantly. So they're there, and you belong to that tribe. Now the thing is, what that does for well-being, it helps us understand who we are as these social human beings, as social individuals, right? So when I go and I'm in that workspace and in that team working with those people, there's this part of me, of who I am as an individual, that is going to connect with them. It's not going to be, I'm not going to connect only on the professional side. I'm also going to connect on the individual personal side. This is how we communicate. We don't just communicate words, we also communicate through body language, through a lot of what we don't say, because we resonate on a different level, on an individual level, and that's personal. That's what we need to get. It's not personal, is not just the family life. Personal is that level on which we connect with people, and that is why with some people we connect better, and with some people we don't really connect, because we don't have that much in common on a personal level. We have different styles. And that, for well-being, that means a lot, because well-being is not just going to the gym, is not just yoga, is not just meditation. It's everything. It's being well, right? And we're being well at home, at work, everywhere we go, finding that balance of what makes us be well at the end of the day.
And if we tie it back to people power, right, and running a business, so I want to make sure that we connect the dots here. Your behaviors and actions, where all the skills and how you do things, right? Purpose and passion and well-being drive that. Now, if you're not 100%, we know that impacts your ability of how you behave maybe at that moment or you act. And so if you're not really into something, right, it doesn't align with your purpose and passion, you're going to have internal conflict. If you are having a bad day, you could be having a bad day because your kid's having issues at school. You could be having a bad day because you worked on something and you got bad feedback from it. And I say bad feedback because it's bad to you because you thought it was great and everyone told you it's not. And you kind of have to brush it off and pick yourself up. And you know what? People feel slumpy about that, right?
Yeah.
Failures are good, but you do live in the moment of feeling the pain of that failure first. And so well-being is extremely important, regardless of all these different scenarios of the environment that you're in. If you're in an environment that nurtures the failure, and you do want to feel talked up a little bit and encouraged, saying, do you want me to help you? Some of those things that happen, I know that must have sounded rough, but, would you like me to kind of help you go through that? Whatever. Yeah. Doesn't that feel good? Just for someone to want to reach out or the leaders that actually care about that, right?
Exactly.
So all of these things really are going to impact when we talk about people-powered organizations is because they get it. They get that all these things, these dimensions that we're talking about when it comes to a human being can be quite powerful.
Yes, exactly.
When we really are open and receiving to the mystery of it. And I'm going to say mystery on purpose because no one is going to be able to solve the code.
Absolutely.
You're talking about a number of human beings and you're going to try to solve it by one system answer. It doesn't work that way.
It doesn't work that way. And that's why when we talk about well-being, let's be clear, it's not just, it's mind, body, and soul. It's everything. And the connection is so clear between well-being and high performance and productivity. So you want results and you want good results on a long term as a business, as an organization. You have to cater to the well-being of your people because they are the ones who produce your golden eggs. If they can't, you won't have any golden eggs.
And we change people. And so you grow the person that might have started. Just take a scenario of somebody just out of college, right? They interned at a company and they decided to stay at that company. Well, 5 years later, the person starts changing because they start changing as a person. Maybe their perspective on life. Maybe they got married. Who knows what caused it? That's related to purpose, passion, and well-being, right? And it could change the way they react to something or the way that they put their energy into things. And so all of these things are so important. I keep on saying that word things. Is so important when we talk about people powered. We spend a lot of money on processes and practices. And I shared that visual, 75% drives things. Because there's only this one little piece when you talk about system processes, technology, and all that everything else is driven by human interaction.
Exactly. Everything else. Can you believe and I'm talking to organizations now who want to implement some well-being programs in their organization, and they're thinking, oh, what is it? What can I offer as benefits? And I'm saying
it's yoga
not
class.
Just the benefits. It's not just, yes, do offer that. And you can actually offer it online and virtually in whatever it is. The thing is, you have to think about what are you offering in terms of development? How are you helping your people develop? Are you offering personal development? Are you offering professional development? That is also part of the well-being. Are you offering what is it? What conversations are you encouraging in your organization? How are you setting that environment for maybe uncomfortable conversations that people need to have? And all of that kind of collaboration that needs to happen right now as people are still working from different parts of the world,
And
right?
just like when I was a teacher and I had my students, and people might get insulted me saying this because I'm an adult and those are children. Well, you know what? I don't see any difference sometimes. And I'm not saying that you're a child and immature. What I'm saying is you only know what you know. And if you're an organization only doing surveys of what people need are asking for, that's only half the story. My point is there's a lot of people that might not admit they need life coaching, for example, and the benefits of it, that you might need to just make a decision saying we are going to do it. Because a lot of people might not ask for that because one, they don't even know. They probably never had it. And two, they might not admit to it because they're still separating professional and personal.
Exactly.
And so all of these things that we're talking about, you might do surveys to ask what is needed, but you also need to know better of what they need as well. It's almost like the Nanny McPhee and the Mary Poppins story, right? You know, when you think you need me, right? Is when you don't need me. I always say this wrong. When you don't want me is when you do need me. And it goes to the same with companies is do the research and know better what should be there, even though your employees aren't asking for it. Because that's another way when we talk about people-powered organizations, it's putting the things in place that they might not realize they need.
But offer them, because if they don't even know that's a possibility, as you said just now with life coaching or any kind of personal development, if I don't know that I can ask for this, I'm not going to ask for this because it wasn't there before. So how am I going to know?
Or
so
even
find that balance.
Asking for it. Like my point is, most people don't even know that they might be stuck in their mindset. That some of their pains that they're having is because they're the way that they think about something. And so these are just great opportunities out there when we talk about people-powered organizations that a lot of them are companies out there are starting to realize they're putting what I would call the frameworks in place. If that's the proper word. That is being more futuristic thinking as they know as we want to be a company that actually is about people, is about purpose. But you just can't do that overnight is my point, because we've been raised all the way from parenting to school systems to now, in organizations, and we've been programmed a certain way. Again, I just read a coaching email marketing campaign that still separated personal and professional performance. So still even there in coaching.
It is. But there's an opportunity to change it now. So
yes. So our last thing is people analytics. And then we're going to wrap up this show. We're not going to keep this one long today. Those of you that are watching this pre-recorded show, definitely send us your thoughts and opinions about this topic, because this is a big one. This is futuristic thinking about organizations when we talk about people powered. This isn't the way it's working today. This is the way that we're going to be. What's your vision? What's your vision out there that if you had a crystal ball, right? You rubbed your genie thing and you imagine an organization of what that would look like, let us know. Or let us know that you guys are thinking about in your organization of doing, because this is the cool stuff. This is what's going to drive change, because when other people see other people doing it, things will follow. So are you going to be a disruptor and a leader of this, or are you going to be the laggers and the followers of it? Which one are you? I'm going to ask you.
I think we're giving some, imagining possibilities for changing that future of work in a way that we love to work.
Now, learning.
Okay.
People analytics. There's,
Mhm.
I sign up to a lot of like blogs and things when it comes to this. And this has been quite interesting. I didn't come from an HR background. I mean, my father was in HR. My friend's in HR, but I became fascinated by it just getting into agile coaching because there's such a human dynamic. And we're taught really with these agile frameworks more about the process type of metrics and not the intangible. Now, our last show that we had on product agility talked about the intangibles. Well, what we're realizing, the intangibles, these people analytics, they're teaching us a lot about why things are happening or teaching us how we need to start shaping things so we actually can achieve our outcomes. Because the analytics are telling us that we have a low probability, for example, that we're going to achieve it because we don't really have engaged employees.
And that's a big issue. I mean, if you look, but it's just, I think this hasn't happened enough, or we haven't looked at the right data, or even more than that, we didn't even think of measuring that kind of, like, for instance, impact and contribution, how people make a contribution and how people make their best impact in the organization. That we couldn't even measure 10 years ago. Now we can. But that was data that was missing. So we were looking at the data that was supporting that idea of, okay, you have to do the work, you have to hit the numbers, you have to do that. But we were missing, and that kept us on focus on one little piece of the whole equation here. But we had a lot of other blind spots because of that, because we weren't measuring or looking at what the analytics were saying.
What are we benchmarking against is probably what I challenge.
Yeah.
A lot of organizations are still output driven, and I don't think that. This is my personal bias. Other people might disagree with me, and maybe they're smarter in this HR thing, but I'm going to tell you my opinion by just what I see.
They might not tell you or recognize it out loud, but yes, it's true. I can tell you that. And the reason
why I go by this, all the coaching certifications, all the coaching training is always based on outcomes. Okay.
Yes.
It's not output. So that's one. That's what I'm basing mine off of. Even when I went to the brain-based coaching with the neuro leadership, they don't talk about outputs. They talk about outcomes. So if all of these great bodies of coaching and all these things that are out there are very outcome focused in their language, and they've been doing this since the 70s and God knows how long, okay, this is not new, then organizations are so output driven. So there's a huge disparity right there. Boom. So are we doing our people analytics based on output versus outcome? So that's my one challenge question. The second one is, are we basing it also on who we want to be as a company? That's not outcome. So this is bigger, right? So outcome is related to the goals and everything that you need to do as you run a business. But what about your purpose, your mission, and your core values as a company? So if you take that element, right, on one, and you take the outcome, to me, that is where you should be benchmarking your people analytics, not on output.
Yeah, I agree with that. And it's how your values and your missions, how they support the outcomes, right? Because that's going to be a huge part of the conversation, because that's what's going to get you there. And that is what's going to help you get the people to get you there, because you're not doing this alone. No organization
and I didn't
has
have
done
to
it alone.
get a degree in HR or take an HR certification to say that.
Ta-da! Well, I think, and I think actually that's a good point. And I think good HR people started to see that, and then to become more business partners. And that is when you talk about outcomes, when you talk about mission, vision, values, that's what a good HR person, they will ask you those questions. They will want to work to that, not just the day-to-day operational side. And I think this is a whole different discussion of where HR is going to go from now
Yeah,
on.
and that probably would be something we need to put in our docket. And any of you guys
Yeah.
are watching the show and you are in HR and you're getting what we're saying, this is your vibe. Contact us because we are going to be looking for some HR folks guests to come on our show. I'm really interested in getting some guests to come on. So I'll probably be looking on LinkedIn more and probably will reach out to people because I'm not shy. We really want you to come and join us, and we'll talk about a topic that you're passionate about. So please do. We're very flexible. Now,
okay.
So we want to wrap this up and really tie into. So we talked about the workplace, physical time, space, the flexibility. We talked about purpose and passion, well-being, and then we sealed it around people analytics and probably what it needs to be based off of. And so ultimately, I'll give my take, you give your take as we close this up, is people-powered organization is putting all of these elements creatively, but it requires adaptability as well. And to be able to adapt, you have to be able to open to learn. And in order to learn, you need to know what you are learning about, right? So you have to have some kind of measurable way to know that, did I achieve what I thought I was going to achieve? Maybe that's the hypotheses driven, thinking of myself, and validate that. So you have to have some kind of discipline and structure into it. And how agile is that?
Oh, it is agile. It is. I love to have agile conversations with you. So my take in here is definitely, let's forget about going back to normal. That's not going to happen. Forget about the 9 to 5. Forget about all the old model of working. That is not something that you can, if you're doing your strategy right now, you cannot build your strategy based on that old model because it's not going to be here anymore.
Throw it out the door.
So that is, and as uncomfortable as that is, you have to, when you talk about strategy, it's important to make it flexible because that gives you the adaptability. So build a strategy, build it long-term, start with the end in mind, like go for 10 years, even if it seems impossible, but start imagining possibilities, discover those game-changing people in your organization who can help you imagine possibilities that you might have never thought about. And start from there and then understand how you can build the strategy and empower your people to get you there, and be ready to change that strategy, to tweak it as you go. I think that's going to be long-term. This is what we're looking at, because nobody really knows exactly what they need to do. We're building the process as we're building the future, right? But it's that kind of flexibility that we need.
Incremental and iterative. Imagine that. How agile. So, and that's probably why there's HR agility and human agility, agility related to all of it. Now, speaking of strategy, we have our upcoming webinar, which is about people-powered solutions that are really about people strategies. And so Roxana and I have really been talking about a 4-step process when it comes to aligning impact energy and people strategies. And so we're going to dive into agile teaming strategies as a topic, talk about this 4-step process, and give you some scenarios when it comes to agile teaming for this webinar. And so we're going to have it April 21st, which is coming really quick, at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you register you can join the live session, which we will have Q&A. If you cannot make it, no worries. We're going to have a replay available to those that register. So check the link out. The link will also be in the description of the YouTube channel. And then we do stick it in some of our comments on the other social platforms. Now, you also have your lead for legacy.
Yeah. This is for mid to senior managers and also small business CEOs. So we're actually starting a new cycle, because we go month by month, and we have weekly group coaching meetings, and also brainstorming and networking and business development and online learning, and a lot of that good stuff that focuses on how do I manage myself? How do I manage my team? What do I do to be able to feel engaged and motivated, and also help my team feel engaged and motivated? So again, we talk a lot about people-powered solutions that are tailored to the members that come in the Lead for Legacy League. So you want to find out more about it, just ask a question in one of the comments here, and I'll get in touch and we'll take it from there.
Awesome. So
okay.
Again, don't forget to subscribe to our Game Changing Work channel. That's where you're going to see the library of all of our episodes. And we will be here every Wednesday at 12 p.m., either pre-recorded or live. So we will also have the following week pre-recorded as well. We actually have a prior engagement that both of us are going to. So, but we will have a special guest at the end of the month, which is going to be really cool. So just bear with our pre-recorded, but this is how we balance life, right? We let it get, we keep going in our creative ways. So gotta love Restream. Thank you, Restream, for allowing pre-recorded. And we will see you next time. And what's our show for next time? Is about
our show for it's how your emotions impact your learning and goals. So stay tuned, because we're gonna talk about that.
All right. See you guys next time.
Okay. Bye.